in the end.
With DOA 3, and for that matter, DOA's entire run on the Xbox being such a success, Tecmo and Team Ninja knew where they were going next generation for the 7th gen. All was quiet on this front until May 12, 2005. That's when the first screenshots for DOA 4 were leaked via the El Trollado, sorry if I butchered that, but elotrollado.net message boards. 15 screenshots were leaked showing off returning and new characters. There was also a number of new stages showing off, and an even more sinister force than any other DOA boss seen before. More on that later. Microsoft had their big reveal for the Xbox 360 on an MTV special the prior week, and that same week was none other than E3 2005. One of the many games Microsoft announced with this reveal was none other than Dead or Alive 4. Many of Microsoft's press conferences touted the game as one of the premier launch titles for the Xbox 360. All seemed quiet on Team Ninja's front, though in an interview with Famitsu Xbox, Tomonobu Itagaki revealed that he was only sleeping 10 minutes a day at one point. In spite of plans to launch the game with the 360, that didn't happen. It was actually delayed several times to the point where it ended up launching a month later in pretty much all major regions, though Australia was the closest, releasing 10 days in that region after the 360 launch there. Dead or Alive 4 was handled by the same developer and publisher as the previous games and released exclusively on the Xbox 360 on December 29, 2005 for North America and Japan. The game released in Europe on January 27, 2006 and March 13, 2006 for Australia. DOA 4 harkens back to some of the elements of DOA 2 to give it the edge it, I guess, was kind of wanting to regain, while keeping much of what made DOA 3 one of the best games in the series, in addition to some new and exciting features, but it also will wring you out to dry. Once again, DOA 4 pretty much brings back all the modes from the past game. Story mode, time attack, survival, team battle versus sparring, and watch mode. The modes that had variations in singles and tag action in the last game also have them here. There are some new things here. In watch mode, for example, you can take screenshots of the action and you can view them later in this mode. You can also view saved replays from either versus mode or online stuff. Oh yeah, DOA 4 is the first main entry in the series to feature online play. I know DOA Ultimate did it first, but that was merely a remaster of DOA 1, the Saturn version no less, and a remake of DOA 2, so yeah. DOA 4's online mode has several match types, many of which were seen in DOA U. Winner stays, loser stays, tournament, where you fight several people, survival, where you see who can get the best record, team battle, and kumite. This is where, regardless of who wins or loses, the champion stays on to fight the next opponent. DOA Ultimate had all these modes, but DOA 4 had something DOA U didn't. An actual lobby system. See, when you join a lobby, rather than the standard menu screens seen in DOA U and other OG Xbox Live games from this era for that matter, you enter a virtual lobby of sorts where you can have your own avatar and roam around. You can chat with other players while waiting your turn, or you can spectate like in DOA U. As you win matches online, you earn ZAC dollars that can buy other avatars, accessories, and various other things for your characters and your lobby when you open a game. So it's pretty much familiar territory across the board. The plot once again involves the ongoing conflict between the Mugen Tenshin clan and Doatek. Once again, Donovan thinks he can get away with more mad scientist experiments and decides to create the worst of all, Alpha 152. Oh, we're gonna talk about her. Believe me. This project is his magnum opus regarding hypercloning technology. They seemingly had a DNA sample of Kasumi, assumably recycled from the Kasumi X project. After the last game, in which Ayane defeated Omega, Hayate becomes the leader of the Mugen Tenshin clan and vows to put an end to Doatek for good. Once again, him, Ayane, and Ryu Hayabusa lead the charge to end Doatek for good during the 4th DOA tournament. However, that's not all that's going on. Helena Douglas took over the mantle of Doatek chairman, trying to fight the corruption within it. Having lost both of her parents to this conflict, she throws herself into the hellstorm that is about to emerge in an effort to end the ongoing conflict of chaos in her life. Once again, just about everybody from the last game returns. However, some no longer participate in the tournament since they have fulfilled their goals, and they are now unlockable characters as a result. Ein returns, and we already know about him. Genfu, or is it Genfu? I feel like I can never properly figure out the pronunciation. Manages to help Mei Lin and pay for her medical bills. So, yeah, he has no reason to enter. Leon received a spiritual blessing from Lauren as seen in his ending in DOA 3, and thus he's out as well. But that doesn't mean there aren't new characters to join the fun. There are! 3 of them. Okay, technically 4, but one of them isn't in story mode and is, well, I'll explain her later. Our first new character is Kokoro. She's a Maiko who is training to become a geisha. In actuality, though, she wants to be a fighter, being a practitioner of Baji Quan, like Akira Yuki from Virtua Fighter. In spite of her mother's worries, she enters to test herself and what she's capable of. Then there's Elliot, Genfu's apprentice who practices Zingi Quan. It's not really known why Genfu chose him, and he enters the tournament to see if he is truly capable of carrying on his legacy. The last new character here is La Mariposa, aka Lisa Hamilton. Yeah, that girl who was introduced in DOA Extreme Beach Volleyball is now fully playable here as a luchadora. Virtua Fighter added one in the 5th game in El Blaze, which came out around the same time as DOA 4 in parts. So Team Ninja responded accordingly. Her wrestling identity rose very fast, and she's looking to continue to make a name for herself. Even though underneath the mask, she was actually a scientist in charge of both Project Epsilon and Project Alpha. Eventually, she gets a change of heart and joins the fight against Doatek as La Mariposa. Now, the returning characters who do take part in the tournament. Kasumi is caught in the madness, not only trying to see Hayate, but she's also trying to stop her evil clone in Alpha 152. Hayabusa is leading the charge once again against Doatek, alongside, well, Ayane and Hayate. Hitomi is trying to find Ein as she thinks he can help her family since the dojo is dealing with financial issues due to her father's sudden illness. Brad Wong is still on the search for the wine genre. Tina is trying to become a rock star, and her father, Bass, is once again being overprotective of her. Zack is trying to get the money to pay off the debt after his island sunk following the end of Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball. Jan Lee is still trying to be the best fighter in the world, and Lei Feng still wants to defeat him. Bayman is still trying to finish off Donovan for his betrayal. Christy is still trying to kill Helena following her failure to do so in the last game, and I already addressed Hayane and Agate here. We already mentioned Helena's deal, but she has to be unlocked now as well. Yeesh. So, some things are changed for some, and some still remain the same, like Jan Lee and Lei Feng, and Tina and Bass. Ultimately, it's a solid mix of characters who each have unique fighting styles once again, and I do think, like usual in the past games, there's something here for everyone once again. DOA 4 retains the same gameplay from DOA 3, but with many new features. The first new addition is the bounce combo system. When you knock an opponent down with a strike, you can execute a bounce combo to do further damage on the opponent when vulnerable, and you can even do a low and some mid attacks when the opponent is down, a la Virtua Fighter. Many of the stages now have moving obstacles that if you or your opponent is hit by one, well, you'll go flying. And there are also new types of obstacles that you can knock an opponent over, and you can hop over it to get to the other side. If you're quick enough, you can execute another attack. These two elements make the stages seem way more fluid and fuller of life. It also adds a strategy element, since you'll have to be aware of your surroundings and be aware of how you can use them to your advantage and not get caught by your opponent in these exploitable situations. Furthermore, the timing windows for countering have been tightened compared to DOA 3. Damage amounts for these aren't as much as they were in DOA 2/DOA 2U, but they are more damaging than in DOA 3. Characters now have more moves and they can emit cries of pain when hit and defeated, a la Tekken. Further updates did balance out the game, except for one part of this game. And it's the part I've dreaded talking about. The AI.
Oh shit, here we go again.
Well, first things first, there is no easy mode. That's right, there is only normal, hard, and very hard. They may as well be renamed hard, very hard, and legend/expert. Pick whatever, I don't know. The main issue, it seems, with the AI is just that they will always seem to be able to read your moves a la Mortal Kombat 2. This means they will pretty much be able to counter you even when you are getting up and trying to do a kick after getting up. Not to mention, they seemingly can get the counter window down to a T, but you're going to struggle unless you practice a lot. One counter is not enough to change the tide of battles, but I've seen the AI string 2, 3, and sometimes 4 counters in a row where you can't even get one hit, and they just take a good chunk of your health out. They also don't seem to get stunned as easily as you do. Or maybe that's just depending on the characters, I don't know. But this means you can nail your most basic hit combo, and they will still find a way to counter it on the last hit, but you can't do the same. The focus on stunning via strikes from DOA 3 has been greatly reduced. It honestly feels more like a hard version of DOA 2. Oh, and remember when I mentioned Alpha 152 is the worst of all of Donovan's experiments? This isn't just story-wise, this is gameplay-wise. I'm about to write a whole paragraph, and now I'm going to speak it here about one of the worst 3D fighting game bosses since Jinpachi Mishima. Maybe even the worst.
And here we go.
Where do I even begin with the horrors of what can only be described as
the Mega Bitch?
Well, I think I know. For starters, she can teleport at random. This includes behind you, forcing you to waste time adjusting, leaving you vulnerable. She's also got several devastating throws, including one where she traps you like Xena on a top with her thighs and will punch you, one where she goes straight through you, and she even has a throw where she can blast you halfway across the arena, taking out almost half of your health in one blast. Maybe even less, since the stage you fight her in is kind of like a Danger Zone-esque stage. There are also some very devastating combo hits that can drain you if you're not careful. Especially that 8-hit spin kick that is impossible to counter. Oh, you can counter her, but good luck with this timing. Basically, take everything I hate about the AI, multiply it by 10, and I'm pretty sure you get the worst 3D fighting game boss ever. Because at least Jinpachi can't teleport himself, and as long as you know how to dodge his attacks proper here, you'll be fine eventually. Here, no, it is just pure luck half the time. Now, some characters in story mode don't face her, thank goodness, but there's still bad news in all of this. In order to unlock one character, you have to beat time attack mode for all characters, including unlockables, and they all fight Alpha 152 as the final boss in time attack. Plus, some characters are just better to exploit the damn boss than with others. Plus, with the unlockable characters, you have to beat time attack with them in order to unlock costumes with them, and you have to do it at the default settings, which includes 2 rounds to beat Alpha 152. Like, this is just absolute insanity, and I think Team Ninja were fully in their hardcore phase by this point, seeing as how Ninja Gaiden released the year prior, and Ninja Gaiden Black, which has an even harder mode than the original Ninja Gaiden, came out a few months before this. They must have been on something for all of this. Good grief. At least the controls can help you get the job done. There are 4 different configurations, though they only change the button layout, and for the most part the layout is the same as you saw in DOA 3. The default layout will be fine for most players, but there are a few others for those who prefer a different layout. You even have a free setting option that will let you fully customize the button layout to your liking. That's always a plus. And furthermore, thanks to the improvements on the 360 controller, actual bumpers instead of black and white buttons, and the lack of pressure-sensitive buttons, which I never was a fan of, it does allow things to feel way tighter in terms of input. Though playing an emulation on Xena Canary, I'm not sure it quite felt right. It felt a little delayed, but maybe that's just me. If you're using a modern Xbox controller, whether on real hardware or otherwise, you'll have a better time with the D-pad compared to the Xbox 360 D-pad. The controls are fine, but there doesn't seem to be an option to turn off vibrations. You would think that would be there, but it's not. It's annoying when you put the controller down and the vibration causes it to start moving on its own. Yeah, that's my only gripe there. Much like how DOA 3 was a solid showcase for the OG Xbox hardware, DOA 4 was a solid showcase for the 360 hardware. Once more, there are improvements in areas to be expected. Like models are looking cleaner, less jagged, facial expressions look good, and the movements from the regular movement to the attacks look good, with some small new additions to accommodate some of the stages. In the wrestling themed stage, for example, if you knock an opponent into the rope, sometimes they'll bounce off of it and be back on their feet. That's pretty cool. The real highlights, though, are in the other stages with the other obstacles that you can knock people over, but also other things. The multi-tiered aspect returns for some of them, but there are many more new details in some of these stages. The market stage in particular lets you knock opponents into various stands, and the produce you see will fall off. You can also knock opponents into other obstacles they can flip over. You can hop over the obstacle and get the drop on them. Not only does this look cool, it adds another strategic element. The real coolest one of them all is in the Vegas stage. You're fighting in the streets and there are cars driving. You can knock an opponent over the barricade and send them into a car. Hell, you can bounce off the wall with an attack to knock someone into a car, knock them over a barrier, and then knock them into another car, which is shown in the intro, by the way. The stages are also just well rendered, with good-looking objects, backgrounds, some new environmental effects depending on the stage, and little things that just keep adding up, and the game just looks spectacular. It also runs at a smooth 60 frames per second, though hair physics still haven't improved. Yeah, you may have noticed as I go through these games, long hair just kind of cuts into the body. It's especially more noticeable here since every major female with long hair typically has it down, though you can pick styles for some, like having Kasumi with her ninja ponytail or Lei Feng with her braids. Look, I'm all for having a beautiful woman letting her hair down and everything, but it's gotta look natural at least. And it just seems like Team Ninja could never get that right. Look, in spite of that, DOA 4 actually looks amazing. Once again, sound has been taken advantage of very well here. You're probably used to the reused sound effects by now. They sound fine, but there is some variety for new object hits and environmental sounds. Once again, the music is the real highlight here. I especially love Kokoro's theme and its European-Japanese fusion. It's not just there for the hell of it. There's a lot more to it, but that involves story stuff, so I'll leave you to find that out on your own. And Helena's theme, Solitary Desperation, is especially one of the best tracks in the entire series in my opinion. Especially given the big scene that happens with her, you'll see and hear what I mean when you get to that point in the game. Everyone else has kick-ass themes, and the menu music is also solid. Even the lobby music for the various lobbies online sound nice. Once again, Itagaki wanted to use Aerosmith songs here. So for the intro song, he used Eat the Rich from Get a Grip. It's one of their harder songs, and it's one of my personal favorite Aerosmith songs. A solid fit. Amazing, also from Get a Grip, is used here as the credits theme, / during Helena's ending. The soundtrack succeeds here all around. The voice acting, once again, is only really in Japanese, with the exception of the announcers, and one secret character that we'll talk about in a minute. Many regulars, like Daisuke Gori, rest in peace, reprise their roles from the past game, and they all sound on point. This applies to both in-game cutscenes, gameplay, and story endings. There are a small number of characters to unlock. Ein, Genfu, Helena, Leon, Tengu, and a very special character. See, Team Ninja saw what Namco did with Soul Calibur 2 and its guest characters and wanted something similar for DOA 4. They approached Bungie, then developers of the Halo series, Microsoft's golden child for the Xbox and the Xbox 360, asking them to use John 117 as a guest character, aka Master Chief. Needless to say, there were some storyline issues and that didn't work out. But the Bungie staff liked the idea, and thus Spartan 458, aka Nicole, was born. The reason she actually speaks only English is because in the Halo universe, the language of the United Nations Space Command is in English. And, well, she's technically traveled back in time, but yeah. Though she does speak some Japanese on occasion. Also, you may recognize her voice.
Leave now. There's nothing up here for you but a shortcut to hell.
Don't recognize it yet? Maybe this will jog your memory.
Here comes a big one. Whoa! Can you make it? Yippee! You did it!
Yep, it's Slippy Toad's voice actress Lissa Brown. Although, the character is easier on the ears here than Slippy, so yeah. Also, if you play in the Vegas stage with her, a warthog will appear in the street, and there's a Halo 2 theme stage that is unlocked once you unlock her. Unlocking Ein, Genfu, Helena, Leon, Nicole, and Tengu can be done by respectively beating the game with Hitomi, Elliot, all characters playable in story mode, Zack, Helena, and for Tengu, you have to beat Time Attack with all characters. I'm pretty sure on default settings. This includes the unlockable ones, and they all fight Alpha 152 in their final boss in Time Attack, so... Fuck my life. Each character has a small number of costumes to unlock, and you beat story mode with those playable in it. All others through Time Attack mode. You can also unlock system voices by beating the command training part in sparring mode for each individual character. Do it for all, and you get Alpha 152's voice. You can also unlock the Tatami stage by getting all costumes and system voices. Sheesh, it's like Team Ninja thought we'd only play this to get it all unlocked, as if we weren't wanting to play any other games around this time period, or even in the intervening years. If that's not enough for you, then online will certainly keep you busy for a while. Dead or Alive 4 is another solid entry, and a strong early 360 game, much like DOA 3 was to the OG Xbox. It looks good, sounds good, controls well, has a good amount of content to keep you engaged, it just plays so smoothly, and the online will keep you playing well after you unlock everything the game has to offer. Well, almost everything. However, some graphical effects still aren't that good, mainly the hair physics. There can only be so much improvement here, and the difficulty is off-putting with how much the AI can read your moves and counter you at the right moment, sometimes several times in a row, with Alpha 152 being the amalgamation of everything wrong with this game's AI and then some. Combined with all the other stuff, I can say with confidence DOA 4 is the hardest game in the entire series. As such, I can't really recommend it for beginners. I would start with DOA 3/DOA Ultimate and then go from there. Still, this is a well-made game and I do recommend it in general, but please have some practice under your belt before you go into it here. I'm not joking. Veterans, be more prepared than you normally would be. I give Dead or Alive 4 a 4 out of 5. And that was not intentional, by the way. That's just how it happened. If this game fixed the difficulty issues, this would probably also be a perfect 5, but that's okay. Still, a 4 out of 5. Now, this game really was kind of the end of an era. It was the last main game directed by Itagaki before he left Tecmo in the DOA series, and it was the last game in the series, in the main fighting series at least, before Tecmo and Koei merged in 2009. So I'm going to stop here for now, since that's where Itagaki's stories with this series ends. Arigato, Itagaki-san. Thanks for watching. Click subscribe below and check out the playlist on screen for more content. To help support the show beyond the usual means, check out my Patreon and Ko-fi on the link tree in the description. And come by my Twitch where I conquer my backlog one game at a time. See you in the next video!